own show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy, ha ha. It's a 6-Rick Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real Portland live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-Rick champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-Rick Kane show. The 6-Rick Kane show. The 6-Rick Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6-Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Welcome back, welcome back. Vish pulling it off like a trooper, back home from a late red-eye flight last night.
Yep.
DJ looking like you need a vacation over there.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what, it's been a heck of a couple weeks, but I'm here, so.
Oh man, I can imagine we're all kind of crazy. A lot of hurricane news, a lot of Miami Hurricanes news coming out. All sports. There's a lot of sports, a lot of things going on right now. Obviously, basketball coming to a close soon here for the men and women. Yeah. Thank God. Some would say
the women are done.
The women are they lost, right?
Yeah.
And then, come on, the men are done, right?
No, I mean the women are officially done. The men are officially done. They're eliminated, but they still have games left.
Right. But before we even get into that, go to the Miami Heat. Listen to me. The Miami Hurricanes is a team store. Go to the team store. Go visit our guys, Harry and Jeremy out there. Go get those new shoes, man. Those things are fire. I don't care what anybody says. I know there's been mixed opinions about them. I think they look great. Vish, you got yourself a pair already. Pretty fresh, huh?
Yeah.
There you go. He's going to pull them out. He's bringing them out. There they are. I like them, man. They look
these are nice. Got the green, got the U on the.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. Yeah. I like those.
The show, and then it's got the.
It's got the U in the back, and they look pretty damn comfortable too. I'm not gonna lie.
Green striping on one side, and then the sole is cool too.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. Those are much better than the ones that they put out before that. So I like them. Anyways, but even before we get into more news, right? Let's talk about our sponsors, right? We appreciate our sponsors. If I can find them here, it would be nice. We can find them. Here we go. What? Why do I have so much stuff in my email? Jesus. You turn your face one day, and then the next day you have 52 emails in your inbox. And that's inbox that I barely get any emails. That's what I meant. Okay. All right. Let's talk about them. Our boys here at You Brake Will Fix. Have you ever run over a pothole so hard your steering wheel shakes? Are you constantly losing air in your tires that you need to keep adding air? By the way, that's happening to me right now. So I think I might have an issue with one of my wheels. I might have to go see You Brake Will Fix. They are the solution. They are Miami's premier wheel repair and restoration company with over 20 years of experience and located in North Miami. You Brake Wheel Fix offers quick repairs for damaged wheels, and in most cases can offer you a free loaner free loaner wheels to help you stay on the road while they repair your damaged wheels. So if your wheels are looking weathered and it's time to freshen up your car. Don't replace, refinish. Their in-house wheel refinishing solutions, such as powder coating, machining, and polishing, will give your car the new look it deserves. So contact Mark and staff at 305-748-0112 or on all social media outlets at U Brake Will Fix. That's the letter U, Brake Wheel Fix. Mention 5 reasons. Get 5.5% off your next repair. Check them out. Again, it's U Brake Will Fix powder coating and wheel repair. 305-748-0112, located over in North Miami at 1848 Northeast 143rd Street. Check them out. U Brake Will Fix. Seriously, I'm having an issue with one of my tires that I pump air in, keeps going. You know, it doesn't go down, it doesn't go flat, but you know, I lose air in it. So I'm not sure if it's just a nail that's stuck in there for a while, or if it's something with my rim. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I guess I got to go see Mark over there.
Yeah. If it's your rim, you know what to do.
Absolutely.
Well, apparently that.
Huh? So yeah.
The speak mute and turn was fun.
I had to mute that.
Just don't forget to use our offer code when you head out there.
Please make sure you use the offer code. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So let's talk a little bit about it, right? Spring football is underway. Practice number 1 today is in the books. A lot of new faces, a lot of new names, a lot of new numbers, a lot of new things going on. Not new coaches, a lot of new things. Yeah. New is the name of the game over there at the University of Miami right now when it comes to spring football. You got to see Carson Beck in uniform wearing the Ken Dorsey number 11. Okay, so let's start off with that, right? Like, can anybody wear number 11 anymore for the Hurricanes? Shouldn't be like a Ken Dorsey retired number at this point, because it's hard for me to look at someone else wearing number 11, especially on offense.
I'm good with it. We have too many players that have done great things. We'd have like 3 numbers that players could use if we tried to retire them. So
that's so true.
So I'm good with it. I mean, Sam Brown was wearing 11 last year. So
that's my point, right? That's my.
or called Dajley on Far wearing.
Although, you know what? Shout out to Sam Brown.
He had a pretty good combine.
Yeah, he did well at the combine. But I mean, we don't. So we honor players by putting in the Ring of Honor, which Dorsey I don't believe is in, which is an oversight.
He should be though.
But jerseys, I'm fine with them just continuing to be used.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just.
There's just too many. There's too many players.
Yeah.
I would like to limit the like 2 key players, one on offense, one on defense, wearing the same number, so that way.
You don't like that, right?
Less of the number 17 is wearing number 43, and then someone in an oversized jersey. I like less of that.
Well, how about this? You know, we're on the air, and usually news breaks after we get off, right? On Tuesday or tonight, like at 12 o'clock when the show's done. But look, we got some breaking news 3 minutes into our show, man. Zoar, Ohio, Tuscarawas Valley, Jesus Christ. Offensive lineman Ben Cogden commits to the Miami Hurricanes. So a big 4-star offensive tackle, Ben Cogden. So this is a guy that I've heard a little bit about. Not too much, but he's a huge kid, man. He's like 6'7", 6'8". He's a big kid. Big offensive tackle from the state of Ohio, which is nice to see, getting some big guys out of Big Ten country over there with the Ohio State and everybody else around. Around there. 6'7", 285-pound offensive tackle, Ben Cogden. DJ, I don't know if you know anything about him, but I know that 4-star offensive tackle, a kid that already has a size that's 6'7", 285, puts on 15, 20 pounds, and he's ready to go. He's kind of a guy that could probably come in and challenge for a 2-deep role in 2026. So that's nice to see. Miami still going after the big uglies up there, especially in the Midwest. So that's nice.
Absolutely. The Midwest, offensive linemen, they tend to be bigger in size, maybe not in terms of weight, but definitely in terms of height. Penn State was after him. He's still scheduled to take a visit to Happy Valley, but this is a big get for Miami. I think he brings a lot to the table. He's a very strong lineman in the sense that his feet are sturdy. When there's a pass play, he doesn't back into the pocket. He stays square with his feet, and he allows the quarterback time and the play to develop. So I think when you look at Congdon and you look at the offensive tackle class overall for 2026 in general, it's extremely deep. So this is definitely a big get for Miami. And, if teams needed offensive linemen, this is the class to do it. So this is a big get for Miami. And obviously being coached by Alex Mirabal isn't a bad thing either. So good get for Miami, and keep building the trenches.
I would have to agree. Vish, I know you didn't see that one coming, but we got you some breaking news, dude.
Yeah, I know. This is usually, we usually just wait till next week, and then I'm like, did we talk about this? Wait, that happened after our last show, didn't it? So, yeah, it was
4 minutes after we stopped the show.
That's sort of the ideal slot they land into. So, yeah, that's good stuff, yeah.
Oh, yeah, baby. He's actually coming in on a visit, I think, today. He's here. Well, that's why he committed, right? He was here, so.
Yeah.
He's here today, yeah.
Yeah, he was here today, which is nice. Another commit, Jordan Campbell. He's only plans to spring to visit the Miami Hurricanes. That's it. Now that's a big time prospect that we're getting, a big linebacker. Jordan Campbell looks like he's going to stick around. I know there's been. We'll get the recruiting stuff out of the way if you want. As a matter of fact, now that we're on it, we might as well. 4-star running back Javian Mallory is another kid that's been predicted to commit to the Hurricanes relatively soon. That's a big time prospect too, a big time running back coming in. I know a lot of people are concerned. Well, what about Derek Cooper? Derek Cooper. Well, Derek Cooper, pull the damn trigger. Let's go. Although a kid like Derek Cooper, I don't think we're not gonna, we're not out of room for a kid like that to come in. He's so versatile. He can play so many different positions. I know running back is one, linebacker is another. He can play even some corner, some DB. So the kid's very, very talented. But Javian Mallory, I'm not going to say no to that kid, right? Very, very big time running back. It looks like he might commit to the Hurricanes. And of course, the other news is Jalen Waters. I know he's coming in to visit soon. He's recently decommitted from the Florida Gators. Will Harris is now here. I know there's a lot of talk of some of the guys from Florida really looking at Miami hard now because Will Harris is now the safeties coach here for the University of Miami, coming from Florida. So a lot of things happen in the recruiting world. I know there's some other prospects out there that are looking at Miami really hard. So if we find out any more information on commits or on any of the kids that are looking to commit or being recruited really hard, we'll let you know. We'll give you the 411.
Yeah, I would just say generally the school, it's a place kids want to be at. And Mario's continuing to build out the roster. And I know, roster management is difficult, especially in modern college football, where people can just hit the portal. You don't know beyond 1 year what you have. And I do think it kind of goes under the radar because let's be real, I don't even want to say necessarily underachieved because it's hard to say that when you go 10-2, but we've kind of been on the precipice of it feels like really big things and kind of fallen flat. Kneel the ball against Georgia Tech 2 years ago, and maybe that season goes completely differently. And obviously last year, 21-0 and in Syracuse and couldn't finish the game. But I think it goes into the radar just how good of a job Mario is doing navigating something that's really difficult. That's causing coaches to retire because they're just like, I can't deal with this. And he's really just stacking classes, plugging gaps in, dealing with the uncertainty really well. Because, coming in, everyone knew, he's an elite recruiter. He's probably the best recruiter in the country, but which he still is, right? He's getting kids to commit, but just the way he jigsaws this thing together to put a team that's relatively deep at all positions every year is impressive. It's kind of probably his best strength. He's very good at kind of building the roster together. And he did it again this year. And we led into this conversation before the breaking news talking about the quarterback. I mean, it's getting very near throwing. Which is
that's
good.
Another, right? I mean, people don't realize it, but I mean, Tommy John surgery has come such a long way. And I know he didn't have full Tommy John, which is even better for him. So I'm excited to see him throw.
Yeah. And we saw the bowl game and we saw what else was on this roster. And so to go out there and get, someone that's won the SEC as a quarterback and played and won big games and kind of done everything except win the actual, national championship as the quarterback on the field. I think this is, I mean, it's another coup for him. As someone who has an unfair reputation as being hard on quarterbacks and not, having to flourish, potentially the number one pick in the draft, and backing that up with definitely the number one portal prospect at that position. Things are happening in Coral Gables, people. It's only a matter of time before the trophies show up.
I mean, and if you ask me, Luke Nickel is the next big thing at quarterback as well. So I'm pretty excited about what they got going on down there for that. Speaking of practice and him, getting ready to throw soon, hopefully towards the end of the spring. The guys that are there now, right? You probably have Emery trying to put on some good tape in practice and in the spring game, but this gives Luke Nickel an opportunity to get in there and start throwing to some of these guys and start developing with some chemistry with some of these guys already, right off the bat, because chances are he's going to be our number 2, right? So the opportunity for him to come in and get reps with the 1s, with the 2s, with the 3s, with all of them. Right now we're so deep at a lot of those skill positions that any of those guys, right? You're probably looking at, JoJo Trader, obviously, who by all accounts, today already has cemented himself as that guy, as that dude, right? The number 1 wide receiver now, which is really nice to hear. I know CJ Daniels is not participating too much in the spring because he's nursing an injury, but you got Nike Carr out there apparently just jumping over guys and grabbing the ball. So, and it's I know it's spring number 1, it's practice number 1, but when you see that already from your guys that are supposed to be doing that, that's exactly what you want. And then you'll get the surprises, or you'll get the guys like Malachi Tony, who looks like he should be your slot guy right off the bat, starting right now, right? But then also you got Ray Rig making contested catches against big, the cornerbacks now as well. So you've got a lot of competition at that position. I haven't mentioned even Josh Moore, who came in, and he looks like a senior already. He's a big kid, 6'4", 200-pound wide receiver already, coming out there looking like a kid that's been in the program for like 3 years already. So, and the rest, and Chance and the rest of that wide receiver core. But then you've got the running backs as well, who, Jordan Lyle, me, how I feel about that kid. I said that he's the best running back on this team. And that's nothing against Mark Fletcher, because he's a monster as well. So you got that 2-headed monster, and you bring in a juggernaut running back like a Gerard Pringle, to come in and compete with Hellcat and some of those other guys that are there, as well as that number 2, number 3, and special teams guy. You're going to see a lot of competition at the skill position, right? And then you got the Swiss Army knife slash, do it all kid in Elijah Lofton at tight end, with that monster Brock Schott that they brought in, right? So, and then the other guys you brought in, you got Jack Nickel, who's Luke Nickel's brother, coming in, to cement that tight end room with Bauman. I forgot Bauman's first name. Tyler, I think. Tyler Bauman now, I believe is his first name. Another, strong tight end who has some big numbers at Tulane as well. So the skill position, I think, is locked down. So the opportunity to get, and all that rant, what I was trying to get at is the opportunity for these quarterbacks, whether it's Emery, whether it's Luke Nickel, whether it's Judd Anderson, whether it's, anybody else who wants to come in off the street and throw to these guys. You've got an opportunity to, number 1, make yourself look even better, but to build that chemistry and to develop into a really good, quarterback with some of that talent that's there. There's a lot going on. There's also a lot going on defense, guys, and it's and I kind of want to get your take on what your expectation is from this defense. Again, a lot of new faces, Hayden Lowe, and a lot of different numbers have changed. And you got the Justin Scotts. I know Sean mentioned here. He looks bigger and stronger already. I think it's because he's wearing the number 5 now. Changed his number from 98 to 5. Mentioned Malachi Tony had a great first day. So it's day 1. But what are your expectations, Vish? We'll start off with you from this defense. And you know what? And I know I rambled on about the offense as well, so you can kind of put your 2 cents in on the offense also.
Yeah, I'll start with the defense. I expect them to actually be good football defense. I mean, we saw a horror show last year, but I don't think the talent warranted the performance. Hence the firing of / gentle nudging out the door of pretty much the entire defensive staff. Right. I think that's pretty big tell that sometimes as people, we cover the team and all that, but we have a distorted view. So when we feel something, which is that, hey, the staff is really underachieving, the team should be better defensively, and then Mario concurs, and basically then kind of at that point 1 + 1 = 2. So I expect a pretty big improvement defensively, which isn't saying much to improve on what we had last year, but I expect them to actually be good defensively, and so a major improvement. Still no explanation for the underperformance of the defensive line last year, but I expect them to bounce back. We talked about this last week. I think Blue brought it up. Getting Mesidor back, there should be an elite pass rushing defensive line with him and Bain now. Again, don't know exactly what happened last year. I do think we have better linebacker depth, just because I think under the radar a little bit, all the injuries we took last year, we didn't really have the depth we expected coming in. We can all talk about, Kiko struggling and not playing as well as he did 2 years ago, but also, I think Aguirre would have played a lot more, but he got hurt. And so, getting those guys healthy back, Kevin Wiley, everyone is really high on. He's an option. So I just feel like there's more options than last year, and that extends to the secondary as well, where Jadias Richards got injured, and that was kind of then we're trying, and Brown missed most of the year, and came back at the end to try, and obviously was not really. You come in there against game 12 trying to cover someone, it's very hard to do when they've been they're in tip top midseason form, and you're just trying to work through some things. So I think there's a lot of little things up to there. Of course, Ruben Bain missed the first month of the season and never really looked right. So I think this is going to be a huge leap forward. I think they should be one of the better defenses in the ACC. Offensively, there's a lot of weapons, and again, I think they got the best quarterback they could to run this team, and I think he's capable of winning everything. I mean, he kind of proved that at Georgia. With that said, there's a reason we call Cam Ward 1 of 1. And Jazz, you and I watched him in person multiple times last year, and the things he was doing. I mean, outside of Patrick Mahomes, you're not really going to see a lot of that stuff. So I think I think offensively it'll be very hard to be as strong as they were last year. But I think overall on balance, the team should be much better, and that's because of the defensive improvement. DJ, I don't know if you have stuff to add to that.
On the defensive side of the football, I expect a much more physical defense, and I expect a lot of physicality out of the corners. I think you're going to see a more physical secondary. I don't think you're going to see a secondary that gives up big plays easily, and if they do, I think they're going to be few and far between. I think like I've talked about before, like we've talked about before on the show, the Gophers defense is predicated on physicality, making sure you have solid trenches on the defensive line, and maybe bending but not breaking. And I think Miami, has a solid defensive line, has a solid secondary in that type of Gophers mold, the type of defense that Heffernan likes to run. So I think you're going to see a lot more of an efficient defense, and that efficiency was missing last year for sure. So I think on that side of the football, you're going to see things, tightened up a little bit. On the offense, I'd love to see how Carson Beck kind of manages his injury and continues to progress. And as long as he does that, I see no reason why this team, I'm not going to say, win the ACC, but has a very good season. And I think, Vish, you make a very good point. Cam Ward was 1 of 1. So I think it's fair to lower expectations a little bit just based off of, that. And I think Cam Ward brought a lot to this team, and I think Carson Beck can too. But I also feel like the offense might take a little bit of a step back, but still be good enough to get the job done. And if they can just shore up that defensive side of the football, then I see no reason why they can't have another strong year, because this is a big year for Mario.
Yeah, I think this is a huge year for him and for the whole staff. I mean, you've got basically a new staff on defense, and you've got some. The good thing is that you've been able to keep this offensive staff together for the most part for the last 2 or 3 years, and kind of seeing the development, seeing the growth from that side of the football. And I think that you won't see Cam Ward, right? Obviously, behind center, but might you see a more efficient, well-rounded offense? Absolutely. I can definitely see that, right? And I know Vish has talked about that before. We're going to run the football a lot more. Obviously, got one of the top, if not the top, offensive line in the country. So you got to do that. You got to use your strength. But you got a guy that can throw the football around a little bit too. You've got some skill position players that can make some plays. So could I see it more well balanced and still as much fun to watch? Yes, absolutely. So I think that the question mark is, can it hold up? Can the guys behind the ones develop and continue to develop and continue to come out there and not skip a beat when, maybe a guy needs a break or a breather, you bring in another guy. So, and that's important in the quarterback. I know Les points out something here in regards to picking up, so many quarterbacks in the transfer portal. Yeah. So look, am I worried? No. But I see what you're coming from, right? Like I totally get that. But to be quite honest with you, Les, we're not the only team that's doing that in the country. Yep. Right? There's a lot of other top 25 programs, big time programs that are doing it, but there's also some guys that they've recruited. For instance, we recruited Luke Nickel. We recruited Darian Coleman right after him, who looks to be an absolute monster as well in the 2026 class. So you got to be able to develop those guys. You got to be able to develop Luke Nickel and Darian Coleman moving forward. So you don't have to go to that, to the transfer portal. So that is going to be important. I completely agree with you. I don't know if I'm worried. I think it's more about, you got to wait and see a little bit. It's going to be tough. Now, the question is, and I think this is where it comes into play, Vish, in spring football, we're not going to see this. But if you can get into some games where you can get out in front and you can have some big leads against some teams that you play, then you might be able to see some of these players come in and play a little bit. This on paper right now, the schedule looks like it's going to be one where we're going to be in some tight games sometimes, and a lot of our guys are going to be playing a lot, and we may not see a Luke Nickel come in, or we may not see a Pringle or something like that come in, or an offensive lineman backup, whatever the case is, or on defense, anything else. So you're gonna have to develop outside of actual gameplay, and that's where you see the coaching really kind of earned its money, right? So you're gonna have to see Coach Dawson be able to develop his guys in practice, and when they do get an opportunity to go out there and they have to execute. We've seen that sometimes that hasn't happened. I know that, the development of Emory Williams has been interesting. I don't know if I don't think if it's a matter of development. I think that he's a smart quarterback. He's a good quarterback. I just don't think he's got all the tools to be successful in this specific style of offense, or maybe he's just not good enough right now. Maybe he needs to go to a smaller school, get some more reps, be a little productive there, and then,
Yeah, and that's, to Les's question. I mean, I don't think they look at, well, they got someone in front of Emory Williams. That's not deterring, 5-star recruits. Emory was, a 3/4, depending on what you look at, and, borderline on those. So
right.
He was always going to be one that you had to develop a little bit. He just whatever reason, it hasn't really worked out. I think even had he, played better in the bowl game, the Canes would probably still have been looking in the portal. And that's just, look, if these high school recruits are looking at any school, as Jess said, and thinking, I'm going to walk in there like it's like the 1990s and I just commit, they're not going to take a quarterback in my year. I'm going to sit there for 2 years and start as a junior and play and be the starter junior and senior year, and then
Doesn't work that way anymore.
doesn't happen. That's not happening. Period. So,
Right.
Took the words out of my
and
mouth.
they should expect to play earlier as well, right? It goes both ways. It doesn't matter how good you were back in like the '90s. Like you weren't playing as a freshman. So
my question is, like, what are the percentages of high school quarterbacks coming in and staying with the team that they signed with all 4 years? Like it's got to be
right now, not
it's
good.
going to be low. And then the top quarterbacks are like that or at that level because they have that confidence in themselves. So they're not going to look at it and be like, well, Emory Williams, is unable to earn the job over the number 1 pick in the draft. Therefore, like, I'm not going to Miami. No one's doing that math. So
I mean, look at that Underwood kid at Michigan, right? Like he obviously signed for a gazillion dollars over at Michigan, and he looks the part, right? He looks like a stud. So let's say he's really successful a couple of years there. If Alabama comes calling with twice as what Michigan paid him, doesn't matter how successful he is. You don't think he's going to look? Of course, right? Like those are things that are going to happen. So you can't worry about it too much.
And this is the part that and now it becomes kind of tricky with high school development and the transfer portal. I mean, if you have a good quarterback, he has a good season, teams are going to be throwing money at him and wanting him to commit elsewhere. Right. So I don't think it's necessarily a question of, if Carson or Cam last year does well, will other high school quarterbacks be afraid to sign? I think it's a question of, will I be able to get a good quarterback from the portal? Will the quarterback I have on the roster leave right now? I don't think it's a question of development anymore so much as can I get the best guy and do I have enough cash? It kind of is tough for high school recruits in that way, but I mean the whole are they going to leave and will it be hard to recruit high school quarterbacks? It's going to be hard to recruit high school guys anyway. And I get that's one of people's major gripes with the portal, but I mean that's just the way it is.
I know we're going on about the portal a little bit before spring football, but it's important to talk about it because a lot of our team, 50% more, is made up of transfer portal guys. Yeah. And we've got to acknowledge that this is part of the game. And so my question to you, Vish, and I'll throw this to you. Does it really matter? Does it really matter? Not even does it really matter. Are you going to see, because it does matter where you commit, obviously, but are you going to see a lot of these 5-star quarterbacks or these 4-star quarterbacks coming out of high school committing now to potentially schools that maybe you wouldn't expect them to commit to, like maybe a lower Power 4 team, like maybe they commit to Wake Forest, or maybe they commit to Virginia or Maryland or something like that, right? Or maybe even a group of 5 school that still competes, so that they know chances are they're gonna be on the field right away, put on some tape, and then go to a big Power 4 school. That's what you might start seeing. So the hell with recruiting your 4 and 5 and 6-star quarterbacks, right? In a year from now, you're gonna get the guy from UTSA because he threw for 35 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and 4,000 yards. That's the guy you're gonna bring in. Forget about the guy that's sitting there, at Chaminade Madonna right now that threw for 3,000 yards in high school and is a 4-star in high school. That kid's gonna end up going to Old Dominion or something like. You know what I mean? Like, Bingo. Are you going to see more of that moving forward? Do you think from some of these high-profile athletes, not just quarterbacks, but just any position in general?
I think it's going to be I think the good programs is going to be a mix. And as much as it might be pragmatic, what you're talking about, Jazz, the money that's being thrown at quarterbacks is stupid. It's life-changing money for them, and I think, frankly, if I'm a high school senior that's like an elite quarterback, and I know, I've got all these big programs offering me 7 figures, I'm not going to Old Dominion so I can get some tape down and taking the money. I agree. The level of money, we're not talking, hundreds of thousands. We're talking millions. You got to just take the money even if you don't play. But with that said, it's I think it'll be a balance. And if you look at our offense last year, right? Obviously Damian Martinez and Cam Ward were transfers, but then you had Jacoby George, Xavier Restrepo, Elijah Arroyo. They were all homegrown. It's going to be a mix like that. You're not going to if all you're doing is relying on the portal, or all you're doing is relying on high school recruiting, you're not going to be competitive. You got to do everything. The margins, I don't think people realize how fine the margins are at this level. For the Canes to get where they want to get, it's much easier to get from 6 wins to 9 wins. Getting those last few wins to tip over and get to the playoffs and get into the championship, those are the harder ones to get. That's why you'll see coaches perpetually. That guy's a 9-10 win coach, but getting over that hump is difficult, and you need everything. So I think they'll continue. It's no secret Miami has money; they're willing to spend it. So I think they'll continue to pursue both. And again, Mario's very good at kind of managing that, not panicking, understanding how to build a roster. I mean, this is people wanted Fernando Mendoza. He obviously ends up at Indiana, and then I don't think there's any doubt Carson Beck is a better quarterback. And then, last year everyone wanted DJU because they're like, we're going to be stuck with no one. And then he waited and got Cam Ward. No, but that was no, but it's understanding. It's understanding. It's not just understanding how to build a roster. It's having a pulse on players. Like, he didn't panic when Cam, did his "I'm going to the NFL" video. He stuck with it and got the job done. And so I'm confident he'll continue to be able to navigate this because it's confusing. It's not as simple as it used to be. And you have to constantly be reevaluating and figuring out where to attack and what to do. And he's done a really good job of doing that.
Yeah, because you're not just recruiting your high school kids anymore. You're re-recruiting everybody that's on your roster again. And like you said, it just makes it even harder. So we'll see what happens. As of now, I wanted to go before we go over like the jersey number changes because I found that pretty cool. That's something to talk about. Another kid who is setting up a visit to Miami is Jaraylen McCoy. Is a big-time defensive lineman coming in on the 15th of March. So he'll be here within the next 2 weeks. He's another big-time prospect, a 4-star defensive lineman. And so I know that he's coming in. As we mentioned earlier, Ben Cogden has committed to the Hurricanes. Tristan Keys is one of the top wide receivers in next year's class. I know he'll be visiting Miami very soon as well. So here we go. He's locked in his visit for Miami, Texas, Alabama, Auburn, Texas A&M, and LSU. So Tristan Keys and Calvin Russell. Obviously, a lot of people know him from Northwestern. Another big-time kid has locked in his visit to us as well, fighting with Syracuse, FSU, Georgia, and Florida. So looks like it's going to be an in-state battle there with some of those guys that are on that list. And then of course there's some of the other kids. Javian Mallory we spoke about, looking like he's going to commit to Miami and whatnot. So a lot of big time moves going on in recruiting, but at the end of the day, it's guys that are here now, like Hayden Lowe, are the only 5-star that committed to Miami. Already looks like he's running with some of the 2s and 3s and doing some special teams work. So you've got some of those big guys. It looks like what's this kid? Switch up is playing center, second team center. Today he was already getting some reps in with the centers at number 2. I think Jesus Christ, I can't remember his name. Someone in the chat tell me who's the kid that was taking second team reps today. Was it Alafatui? Yeah, there you go, Mel. Appreciate it. Alafatui or whatever his name is, SJ. That's a kid who obviously came in from Vegas. And so you've got a lot of things that in the spring they're going to want to see. They're going to want to see versatility. They're going to want to see these guys come in here and push and fight for positions because regardless of whether it looks like a lot of these positions are set, I would argue to say that no, right? I would argue to say that Jojo seems like he's wide receiver 1. Nightcar seems like he's up there battling for the number 2 or number 3, and Ray Joseph as well. He's been here long enough. He deserves a shot. Yeah, okay. Well, you still got Chance Robinson, and you've got Malachi Tony. You've got Joshua Moore. You got so many names there that are going to come in and they're going to battle to try to take your spot. Same thing at tight end. Elijah Lofton, as good as he is, Brock Shaw comes in and he looks like he's the next. He's the next Greg Olsen, right? I think he's a monster already. On top of Luka Gilbert, who's going to come in soon, and these other two recruits that we got out in the portal, Nickel and Bauman. So you got a lot of questions that need to be answered there. At linebacker, it looks like Popo changed his number 2. He's got number 10, one of my favorite numbers. So I love that he changed to number 10. Looks pretty cool. Malik Bryant changed from 24 to 9, if I'm not mistaken. As I mentioned, Justin Scott went to the number 5. Let me see who else. Zaquan is number 0 now, if I'm not mistaken. Changed his number to 0, which I'm not a big fan of that 0 number. But number 20 is worn by one of the new freshman DBs, if I'm not mistaken. Brantley got 19. Damari Brown changed to number 2 as well. Jordan Lyle went from 21 to number 2, and someone, I think it was Roman from the Orange Bowl boys or something, mentioned that if you're a running back in Miami and you have the number 2, you're probably going to rush for 2,000 yards. so I love that a running back is wearing number 2 in Jordan Lyle and Gerard Pringle's 22, which is another cool number for a running back. Who am I missing there? Bauman is 87. Schott is number 10 on offense, which is cool to see a tight end wear number 10 here. Elijah Laughlin stays at number 9. Luke Nickel, for you guys wondering, Luke Nickel, number 16 is the number that he's wearing right now as a freshman. Joshua Moore is number 3. Amari, that's, you know what, Mel, that's one I know that Coach Cristobal talked about a little bit in his presser, also how important it is to represent that number. Amari Wallace, who is a little banged up right now, will be wearing the number 26. He's one of the safeties, one of the new safeties coming in out of Central. So he'll be wearing number 26. Carnley, I think, is wearing 13. CJ is wearing number 7. Kellen Wiley's wearing number 30. Who else do we got here? Trying to come up with some guys that are wearing. I know that is weird, right? Seeing number 7 worn by someone else on offense other than Restrepo now for the last 5 years or so, 4 or 5 years. We've got some other guys. I know I'm missing a couple guys. Malachi Tony is number 12.
Yeah, Poyser is also wearing 7 on defense.
That's right. Poyser's wearing number 7 at safety. Carnley's wearing 13, if I'm not mistaken. Brantley 19. Ethan O'Connor's wearing number 24, I believe. Yep. 23. Who the hell's wearing number 23, Vish? Do you have the list there?
I'm not sure he's wearing 23.
Oh. I know Mel's probably got the list somewhere. I wouldn't doubt it if she did.
In any event, someone will wear the jersey.
Anyways, I'm sure someone will let us know. I'll mention, but yeah, of course we'll mention Beck wearing number 11. That was like the number 1 thing we did this morning.
Yes. Just like the last quarterback that wore 11 did pretty good here. So
yeah,
we'll take 34 wins in a row. I think we'll sign up for that.
I think so.
Doesn't have 34 games. Actually, the way they keep expanding the season, we will play 34 times this year. I don't know. Yeah. No, I mean, they're just all. I think it's just
numbers matter. Numbers matter, Ish. You play better when you got your number on, right? When you got the number you want on, you play better, bro. It's just proven fact.
You've had a lot of players change their numbers and get very bad.
Right. I mean, it's true.
Kiko, we needed 51 Kiko back.
Notice how there's no 1s this year, right? 1 is like that number for Miami for Cristobal, is that you got to be, the special guy, the leader of the team to wear number 1 on both offense or defense. And I guess Kiko didn't have a great year wearing that number 1, but from a leadership standpoint, he's the kind of guy, kind of like the leader of the team on defense. I get that. Same thing with Cam Ward on the other side. So, but numbers matter, man. If I didn't get my number, I was pissed. I want to wear my number, man. Look good, you feel good, you play good. That's what it's all about, Vish. All right. What else you got, man?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that will not affect the win-loss record. Who's wearing what number?
Oh man. What else we got? Talk to me.
I mean, on spring ball, obviously today was the first day. Mario talked about, So, I mean, it's the first time I've had press available in a while, so a lot of quotes. Nothing really groundbreaking. Just talked about some of the new guys, and of course he's high on all of these. I'm gonna be like, that guy stinks, or so. So we're getting a lot of superlatives. I think again, I kind of mentioned his name earlier. I think based on what everyone is saying, Kellen Wiley has a chance to get on the field early and play a lot. Probably one of the, again, we've been recruiting well, so kind of one of the few true freshmen that you're like, okay, might actually play, meaningful snaps early in the year. I think for the other one's going to be hard to get into that rotation immediately. Maybe Malachi Tony a little bit, but we're deep. So you really got to earn your way in there. And I think the story is obviously the new defensive staff and how that works.
Right.
The sense that he feels a lot freer and can play faster. Again, I wouldn't expect him to say, man, this new scheme sucks. So, everything's got to be taken with a little bit of grain of salt. But, yeah, I mean, so it's one day in, but it does kind of, again, getting a different voice in the defensive room and leading it forward was a necessary thing. So those are positive signs. We'll see. Yeah, well, I mean, as you said, Jazz, these guys are competing for spots now. There's another portal window, so that's probably the underlying thing here. Because like you meant, Carson Beck's not playing. He's not the only. We tend to hold, locked like starters that are kind of locked in there. If they have any kind of a nick or whatever, they just basically don't even play in spring. At this point, that's the way spring is kind of diminished down. So it's, as you said, an opportunity for young guys to get out there, show what they can do, and also kind of establish a pecking order, because frankly, the people towards the bottom of that are the ones that hit the portal.
And frankly, yeah, right, exactly. Like frankly, some guys are playing for their jobs or for jobs that
or I wouldn't even necessarily say playing for their jobs, just for clarity, right? Like, because you're competing even with some guys, and if they end up in front of you, then you're like, all right, thought I was going to be second or third in the depth chart. I'm fifth.
Gotta go.
Should probably get out of here and go somewhere else, right? So,
yeah. I think every other school is happening to us as well. I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we're going to probably have some players coming in
by it, but we know that the current state of how things are done now. It's
and that's the game now. So it's like the NFL cut down day comes in the spring.
Yeah.
Except it's more voluntary from the players versus like you all have to leave.
Right.
But yeah, so that's where there are stakes. I think it's less us learning a lot about the team and more, individual players trying to earn, playing time going into summer and really kind of establishing that they're someone that can make a contribution. This is a big spring for Emory Williams.
It is. One way or the other, it's huge.
Well, because I mean, Blue talked about, and he knows Emory's family. He kind of knows that. He says, he's obviously speculating because Emory's not coming out here and announcing something. But his thinking is that Emory would stay and be Carson Beck's backup because he knows he's one play away from being the starting quarterback here. Now, we talked a lot about Luke Nickel on the show. We've had him on the show. We all know he's the heir apparent to this program at the quarterback position. It's just a matter of, when, not if. And if the when becomes this spring where he beats Emory out for the backup job, Emory's gone. I'm almost sure at that point. Yeah. So, as he should. He shouldn't stick around to, be the backup to a true freshman. So there's position battles like that going on everywhere where these guys got to figure out where they stand. And defensively, you got to impress the new coaches. Whatever you did previously, you can't rest on that. You gotta now re-earn your spot. So that's half the team has to re-earn their spot. You're on mute, Jazz.
You're on mute.
Sorry about that. It's gonna be an interesting spring. So I can't wait to hear more what comes out and who starts to shine a little bit and who doesn't, and you'll see some separation. And then obviously,
we should have a lot more information next week. We had one practice today, so
yeah. But it's exciting, man. Football's back. I know they'll have a break after this. I think after this week or the next week, and go into spring break.
Yeah, they take spring break, so.
And then they'll come back and start getting at it again. I know the spring game is April 12th on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon, one or the other.
Yeah.
And will be out there, and they play, and then baseball plays Duke University as well. So,
Yep, same week as the Duke series.
Yep. So let's see what happens there. But
I guess the last thing before we go, well, first of all, we have Canes on deck next, so definitely stick around. Baseball's exciting. I'm excited. But anyway, we got that coming up next. But actually, just there were some pretty substantial ACC news today.
Yes, please.
Where it looks like they've reached an agreement, kind of to revamp the revenue sharing model. Well, two big things happened, both beneficial to Miami, so it was a good day for our program. One is revamping the revenue sharing model so that you essentially keep more of what you earn versus equitable distribution, which for a school that repeatedly draws high TV ratings and kind of drives a lot of the marketing for the ACC, like Miami does, that's a big step forward. They'd already put in performance incentives, so yeah, that blowing that game to Syracuse did cost us $4 million last year. So, because that's what the playoff extra money, because they still pull some of the money and distribute it, but then there's performance bonuses where the SMU and Clemson got $4 million for making the playoffs. We got zero because we didn't. So that sort of thing. So that's still in place, but then there's also just name brand recognition, which is another layer of protection for name brand schools that tend to drive TV ratings, which is where the money comes from, but might have an off year, like Florida State won 2 games last year. They still had some of the higher rated ACC games, especially early in the year, so they would have gotten paid out on that in the current model, even though they stink. So that security is frankly what the bigger schools are looking for. I need to be able to be bad and still get my cut. So they got that, and so that's big, because if you chain that together and you're a big program that has a good season, you can make as much as an SEC and Big Ten school, because you're getting an inequitable share of the money. And for normal schools, they said they're going to lose, because right now it's evenly shared. So if the same pool of money and more is going up, that means less is going down. So yeah, they said like the normal schools are going to lose around $7 million a year based in relation to what they're getting now, but it's worth it for them because the alternative is the ACC imploding and they end up like Oregon State. So so they're like, you know what, I'll take the haircut instead of like getting my head lopped off, is essentially what they're doing there. And then the other huge thing is the ACC did agree to relax the fee structure for buying out and getting out of the conference. So they're still negotiating the finer details there, but it looks like there'll be a pretty big drop in the amount of money you have to pay after 2030. So keeping in mind that the TV contract runs through 2036. And that's why Florida State and Clemson were suing to say there should be an avenue to get out of the conference. There will be codified now, but it's going to be an obscene amount of money until then. So they, a headline is there's stability through 2030 and then potential chaos at that point when the buyout fee will be much lower. So that all happened today.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool.
I guess on the bad side of things for Miami, the one caveat is, so obviously football drives TV and all of that. There are also basketball incentives that, based on what we've witnessed, it will not be hitting. Most of it comes out of football-based incentives, but there are incentives like if you make the NCAA tournament, make the Final Four, you get payouts also. And well, the Canes will not be dipping into that pool, but they can't get the football money out, and they'll definitely get the brand money out. So it was a good day for Miami Athletics in terms of really, and they're already spending the money anyway, but to really just be on par with the Big Ten and SEC in terms of the amount of money individually as a school they'll get.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, just good news for the Hurricanes. So whatever we can get to use to our advantage to get better, that's what we'll do, man. So we appreciate that info. We'll have Canes on deck coming up for you in just a quick moment. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at 6 Rings Canes, and that's also on the 5 Reasons Sports or 5 Reasons Canes podcast. Anywhere that you get your Apple Podcast, Spotify, anything like that, make sure you check us out there as well. We'll see you guys next Monday for Canes football. But you've also got Buckets coming up this week.
Buckets is on Wednesday. Yep, Buckets on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, and we'll talk some baseball soon.
Yep.
We'll see you guys on Monday. Adios.
Adios.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.